Tonight, a look inside the HHS Secretary's Operations Center with the man himself. All right, Mr. Secretary, this is the Operations Center?
Yeah, this is the Secretary's Incident Operations Center. And this is where we track, any kind of incident. It could be hurricanes, it could be chemical spills, it could be a measles outbreak, which is what they're tracking right now.
Let's go around this way. These are your guys at the...
How are you? Good to see you.
Welcome, sir. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks. So any incidents that are happening real time, it's put up on the screens here.
Yeah, and it allows us to visualize it. And to, it helps us better to mobilize resources to whether it's a pandemic response team or whether it's chemical response or any kind of emergency, to look at the assets that we have in that area and get them to the site as quickly as we can.
So measles is at 980, I guess, confirmed cases.
Today. I'm very proud of CDC's management of the measles pandemic. It's in 22 states, but most of it's been in Texas and New Mexico. We're working with the governors at their request of both states. We have teams in both states doing epidemic response, but we have seen the growth in numbers steadily decline, and the seriousness of the cases also decline. If you look at our country, if you look on this map, we have about 940 cases. Canada, which has 1/8 of our population, has 1,100 cases. Europe has over 6,000 cases. They're twice our population, but they have 7 times the amount of cases that we do. And Mexico has pretty much the same amount we do. So the CDC has been doing an excellent job on the ground at getting this outbreak under control.
And so what's your message to the folks who are dealing with that, especially in Texas?
Well, in Texas, a lot of the people who are affected are the Mennonites who are unvaccinated. And measles is going to spread through an unvaccinated population. We tell people you should get your vaccination because that's what's going to stop the measles outbreak. But we also understand that some people don't do that. The MMR vaccine that we currently use has millions of particles from were created from aborted fetal tissue, millions of DNA fragments, and there are people who have religious objections toward those, and those people should be treated with compassion. If they come to a hospital and they're sick, we need to know how to treat them. And one of the failures of the CDC in the past is they weren't telling doctors, no kid should die of measles in this country. Even in 1963, before the introduction of the vaccine, there were 400 deaths a year, and there were up to 2 million measles cases. So it's only very, very sick kids should die from measles, and nobody should.
There's some that were saying that the rubella portion of the vaccine, and you were talking about the produced from the fetal cell line, originated from an abortion that took place in the 60s. But the MMR vaccine doesn't contain the cells in its final form.
It doesn't contain cells, but it contains DNA fragments.
Got it. And so that's your point.
Yeah. And people have religious objections to that. And although I might not share those objections, I respect them. And I think those people, a lot of the Mennonites told me, and I went down there and spent time with the community during the outbreak, and they said they didn't want to go to the hospital because they were treated as pariah. They said we were treated like lepers there. And that should not be part of American health care. If somebody comes in, if they have a religious objection, we should still be treating them.
And your big point is a choice for people to make, informed choice.
Exactly. And that whatever your choice is, you're human, you're entitled to compassion, you're entitled to the best quality health care, and nobody should die of measles.
Let me ask you one more thing, not on these topics. Today, 60,000 more files came out about your dad's assassination. And there's obviously thousands of files about your uncle's. Do you think that has come out fast enough? Are you okay with what has happened, transpired with all of that?
I think President Trump has done an excellent job. This is stuff that was supposed to be released at the latest in 2018, and it was held year after year after year. And the fact that he's finally releasing it, I think, gives us all a chance to have a new beginning in our country, because that was really a crossroad when our country sort of walked down the road that President Eisenhower had warned us about becoming an instrument of the military-industrial complex. And if we want to walk that back and reclaim America's initial ideals, it has to begin with total honesty.
Do you think we'll ever know? I mean, we're digging through these files today now, but do you think we're ever going to know on both cases?
We know a lot about my uncle's death, so that's been very well documented. There's probably 30, confessions. There are people who were involved in it. We know a lot less about my dad's death. There's all kinds of circumstantial evidence that there was U.S. government involvement. There's not the kind of proof that we have now with President Kennedy's death.
We'll keep looking. Mr. Secretary, we appreciate this day. Thanks for the tour.
Thanks for having me, Brad.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.